Hello and welcome to Caesar's Snack Sandwich. Today I'm taking a look at Liquity once again. Now I did a video explaining how Liquity works quite in depth with a nice flowchart and everything. And if you don't know how Liquity works, I would suggest you watch that before you watch this, and then you'll understand this better. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video in case you want to watch it, or perhaps you can just skip ahead or look down in the description. I'll try to put a link down there as well. However, so today they have this new thing. Well, it's not today, but they have this new thing. Today I'm going to cover this new thing called chicken bonds. Now it's pretty interesting. I'm going to use a flowchart to explain it because it's not a simple concept either. But if you want to know more, you can come in and you can read these two articles, the two blog posts about the chicken bonds themselves. I'll put links to these in the description as well. And you can get a pretty deep understanding, but they're pretty thorough. As you can see, there's quite a bit of text there. And then also this one explaining the system as well. So, I would suggest you as always to read these, and then you can also go to the docs and read a little bit more about them as well. But let's go over to the flowchart and let's try to understand it there, okay? Okay, so here we are on the flowchart, and here we have Dollar Bill, the LUSD fan, okay? He wants to take part in these chicken bonds and LUSD as well. So the first thing he can do is, as per the old way, like just as per the system itself, is he can borrow some LUSD versus ETH. Now these are no interest lending things, but you can be liquidated, right? So you supply some ETH and you borrow some LUSD versus that ETH, and I suggest you take caution on how much of that ETH you want to collateralize. Like you would put all of it in, but how much you want to borrow versus that collateral, because the price of ETH can go down and you will be liquidated, okay? So what can you do with this LUSD? Traditionally, you could put it into one of the curve pools. It's either LUSD 3 CRV or the LUSD Frax BP. So there's, Frax meta pool and a 3 pool meta pool, both with LUSD. And then you can, take advantage of those LPs with Convex or any of the systems that you like to use yourself. Or you can put and, earn some CRV and some CVX and all that. Or you can put the LUSD into the stability pool and earn some liquidity tokens and some ETH, okay? So this stability pool is used to liquidate these positions when they go liquidatable. Again, watch that other video if you want to understand this system better. So along comes these chicken bonds, okay? So these bonds are principal protected bonds, okay? So when you buy one of these bonds, you know that your principal is always protected. You can always get back your underlying principal if you decide that you don't want to take part in this anymore. So after you buy this bond, you get this NFT, which is like a chicken egg, right? And it starts accruing, or like it starts building up BLUSD. We can call bonded liquidity LUSD tokens over time, okay? So after about 30 days or so, then you're at a break-even point, kind of, okay? Now that's not 100% 30 days, because you'll understand that this pool, this token here does not stay 100% pegged to LUSD or US dollar per se, okay? It's actually an interest-bearing token, and it will have its own liquidity pool, so there is that to consider as well. So you get this NFT, you hold it in your wallet, and you start earning these BLUSD tokens that later you can try to claim, okay? So the LUSD that you've put into this contract, right, that you've bonded, it's not sitting there idle, it's put to work, okay? So they take this LUSD and they stick it into this first bucket, okay? And they call it the pending bucket. And this is important, like it's kind of sitting here and it's accessible because it's a principal protected bond, right? So they put it in this pending bucket, and this pending bucket then puts it through B protocol into the stability pool. Okay, now B protocol will compound these rewards, this LUS liquidity tokens, and these Ethereum from the liquidations. It will compound them into LUSD, And then that LUSD profit is given to these two other buckets, the reserve bucket and the permanent bucket. Okay. Now the choice of this, it's not 50-50. There's a formula inside the docs. If you really want to dig deep and read on that, you can. But basically it's going to decide where to put it based on some of these specs. I'm not going to get into those here. Okay. Now the reserve bucket basically backs these BLUSD tokens, and you'll see how in a second. Okay, so these BLUSD are backed by the reserve bucket, and the reserve bucket's LUSD is always put into the protocol to earn more. Okay, and then that earning is also added to this flywheel. It becomes a flywheel here, which this reserve bucket backs these BLUSD tokens, so it kind of gives them a floor price based on how much is inside this reserve bucket. Now the permanent bucket basically sends the LUSD and puts it into the curve pool, right? Takes the curve pool token and sticks it in Yearn, or it sticks it into B protocol, and it can go back and forth between these. Now, it all depends on the pegs and stuff like that. It's another thing that I'm not going to really explain here, but you can read deeper in the docs on how it cycles between these two and what are the parameters that just makes it decide which one to use, this permanent bucket here. Okay. Now, these are bonds, okay, and they never expire. However, at any time you can say, hey, listen, I don't want to do this anymore because it's, principal protected, so you can chicken out. And if you chicken out, then your NFT actually modifies. It changes the image, okay? The image actually changes to a chicken running away, okay? And then your LUSD, the LUSD that's in this B protocol, in the stability pool, is backtracked and sent back to you. So you can redeem for your principal, but you give up the yield, right? Because you're not accessing these buckets anymore. You're just basically pulling back the LUSD that you have given. So at any time you can chicken out if you want, and your NFT will actually modify and become a different looking NFT, okay? Now, if you do chicken out, it's not possible to chicken back in, okay? Once you've chickened out, you've given up your yield, okay? It's permanent. Now, the other option is after some time, you can chicken in. So this egg is constantly accruing this BLUSD in here, right? But at some point in the future, you might decide, hey, I want this BLUSD for different purposes, right? I'll talk about those in a second. So then you can chicken in, and then your NFT will change to an actual Chad chicken, okay? And then you will get those BLUSD tokens into your wallet. Now, you won't be able to then chicken out later. These purple ones are permanent. So this is a choice you make down the road, and it's a permanent choice, okay? What can you do with this BLUSD, okay? Well, the first thing you can do is you can redeem it for the reserve pool. So at all times, those BLUSD tokens are backed by the reserve pool. So you can redeem them through the reserve pool if that's what you want to do. So this BLUSD, you can send it to the LP that I told you is going to be created, right? So you can swap the BLUSD for 3 pool tokens or LUSD. So if you find that the BLUSD is trading at a premium above the US dollar, right? And let's say you put $1,000 in here and you got back 1,100 BUSD or even 1,000 BLUSD, but BLUSD is trading above $1, then you will get back more LUSD, and then you can do it again, right? Or you can provide liquidity to this liquidity pool. So you can take a BLUSD, stick it in the liquidity pool, and then stake this in the gauge, and you'll earn some rewards. Now, 3% of these rewards here that are divided up, not 100% is going, 97% is going, 3% is taken out and given as incentives as LUSD. So if you supply liquidity to this pool, right, you're basically supplying to a stablecoin pool, and you're going to be incentivized with more stablecoins. So this is pretty interesting. So this will cause people to actually consider forgetting about the whole bonding system and just buying BLUSD and supplying to this pool, or just bringing in tokens from the other side. Like if I have a whole bunch of DAI, I might just stick it in this pool because it's all stable coins for the most part, and I will get these stable coins as a incentive on top of it. Now in the future, as like this pool grows and stability grows and there's a lot of trading fees, there might actually also be curve in here because they're sending these to the curve gauge. So there might be CRV, and if there's CRV, then you can be sure that there's going to be a yearn volt and there's going to be convex volt and so forth. And then who knows, down the future there might also be a Frax one here as well, a Frax with BLUSD. Okay. Now the last thing I want to talk about is that the NFTs are not standard. They have rarities and special features like rainbows or brown or rainbow egg, and they have all these different kinds of like special rarity features or characteristics, and these are based on your usage of Liquidity as a protocol. So if you've ever owned or staked LQTY tokens, then you might get a more rare NFT. Or if you've ever opened a trove, so ever done one of these, so like basically borrowed LUSD versus ETH, or if you've ever done any gauge voting on these different LPs versus on the curve gauge voting, then you might get a special NFT as well. Okay, so that pretty much covers this system. I think it's pretty interesting, and it's definitely something that I'm going to think about very carefully. I really like the idea of just supplying to this liquidity pool here and getting basically incentives as stablecoin incentives, and then in the future CRV and so forth if that were to happen. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I hope this is useful and interesting, and goodbye.